they would always come up, people would come up to him and say, "What's your favorite movie?" And he would say, "My next one." When I was growing up in Chicago, my parents would not allow me to see horror films. So, of course, I had to see as many of them as I possibly could. And, they were afraid that they would give me nightmares, and they were right, they did. I would have terrible nightmares.
Herbert West is at the top of his class in medical school.
How can you teach such dribble? These people are here to learn, and you're closing their minds before they even have a chance. What are you
saying? It's too bad, someone doesn't do a new Frankenstein movie. Everyone's doing all these vampire pictures. And she said, "Well, have you ever read Herbert West, Re-Animator?" And I had never heard of the story. I'd never even seen it. And it was, Lovecraft wrote it as a serial, 6 little installments. And reading it, I thought, wow, this would make a great movie. Although, actually, to be truthful, I thought it would make a great TV series. One of the things I like to do, and I did this in theater all the time, was do as much research as possible. And to go to actual places whenever I could, like I call them field trips. And so for Re-Animator, what I did was I took all of the actors to the LA County morgue. And that freaked out several of the crew members and cast members. Everyone talks about the very black, comedy in the movie. And where that comes from, to a large degree, is the pathologists themselves. Because if you're working in a morgue, you better have a good sense of humor. And so the critics felt that Re-Animator was the best movie of that year of all of the films shown in Cannes, which is really quite an incredible award. I had assumed that the critics would hate the movie. And so I assumed that, I was hoping, my only goal was for the fans to enjoy it. And I just sort of wrote off the critics, and I think that turned out to be a good thing, because once you stop being worried about that stuff, it sort of frees you up in a way. I requested a meeting with the MPA and went in and talked to this lady, and she started scolding me. It was like getting called to the principal's office. She's going, "What were you thinking when you did this movie? The camera doesn't just stay there. The camera's pushing in and pushing in and pushing in. What were you thinking?" It was like, I'm going, I'm sorry. Just give me an R rating. When I was shooting, the first movie I did there was Dolls, and we're doing a scene, and all of a sudden there's some guy is hammering, a carpenter is hammering, pounding nails, while we're trying to shoot the scene. And I finally just yelled cut and went over to this guy and I said, "Excuse me, but we're shooting sound," and he says, "Signor Fellini always lets me work." And I said, "Well, I'm not Fellini." And he said, "That's for sure." Well, I think that to Brian and me, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is a horror film. We never said left horror. The horror, it's a horror movie. The thing that was interesting was that they ended up using, I had storyboarded the whole movie. They built all the sets. So the movie essentially, they made some changes, but it was, I would say 90% of it was exactly as I had laid it out. That the Disney brass then started going, "You're not going to kill these kids. We cannot let you kill the kids in this movie." And I said, "Well," I said, "I'm not going to kill the kids, but I want the audience to think that they could die." I had a meeting with one of the executives once, and I got a nosebleed in the middle of the meeting. But it wasn't just a nosebleed that trickles down your face. The blood went shooting out of my nose onto his desk. It was one of those things where I looked, I finally called my agent and I said, what should I do? I said, if I drop out of this movie, will I ever work again? And he said, "Well, I don't know if you will, but I do know that dead directors do not work at all." But things happen for a reason. That's kind of the way I finally ended up you know, in my mind, at least justifying it to myself. And I'm not unhappy with the direction that I've gone. And it could have been that if I had made that movie, you know, the movies that I would end up making wouldn't have been as much fun or as interesting as the ones I have. And of course, you know, when you're working with all these great guys, you know, John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper and Dario Argento, there's a, you know, you feel like you're in this great club, but you also, all of us kind of want to outdo each other. I mean, I'm getting, you know, I'm almost 60 years old now, and you realize that, you know, what it all comes down to is time. How much time is left, really, and how many movies are left to make. And you don't want to waste your time doing stuff that's, you know, not important or that you don't care about. And so my only hope, I guess, would be that the next few movies, because I don't think there are going to be too many more, are going to be my best.